Welcome back to True Crime with Jackson, where we dive into some of the most chilling and complex criminal cases. I'm your host, Jay Jackson, and today's story takes us deep into the darkest corners of human behavior. This is the life and crimes of Ted Bundy, one of history's most infamous serial killers, a man whose charm masked a soul devoid of empathy, leaving a trail of horror across the United States. Now, before we begin, I want to issue a warning. The details in this case are disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Ted Bundy's story begins in Burlington, Vermont, where he entered the world on November 24, 1946. Born at an unwed mother's home, Bundy's early life was shrouded in secrecy. His mother, Louise Cowell, was unmarried, and the identity of his biological father remains unknown. To avoid scandal, Bundy was raised believing his grandparents were his actual parents and that Louise was his sister. This deception would prove significant in understanding Ted Bundy's psyche later in life. As a child, Bundy showed early signs of disconnection. Peers described him as socially awkward, but by high school, he transformed himself. Smart, well-spoken, and outwardly charismatic, Bundy cultivated a polished exterior, but those closest to him sensed an undercurrent of darkness. Bundy went on to attend college, eventually enrolling at the University of Washington, where he studied psychology. It was there that his life seemed to take two very divergent paths, one marked by academic success and a promising career, and the other marked by intense personal turmoil. During this time, Bundy fell in love with a woman whose social status exceeded his own, a relationship that would later prove pivotal. When she broke up with him, Bundy was devastated. This rejection compounded his latent insecurities, setting the stage for what would eventually become a lifetime of violence. From the outside, Ted Bundy appeared to live a normal life. He worked for Washington state political campaigns and even volunteered at a crisis hotline. Ironically, while helping people in moments of distress, Bundy was secretly nurturing his own murderous compulsions. And in 1974, those compulsions erupted into terrifying action. Bundy's first confirmed murders began in Washington state. College campuses became his hunting grounds, where Bundy's charm and manipulation proved deadly. Disguised as an injured man, often limping with a fake cast or asking for help carrying books, Bundy lured young women into his Volkswagen Bug. Once inside, they were trapped. Bundy bludgeoned his victims before sexually assaulting them and disposing of their bodies in remote wooded areas. Ted Bundy's ability to evade authorities was chilling. He was meticulous, often leaving little physical evidence behind. But as the number of missing women grew, authorities began connecting the dots. His killing spree wasn't confined to Washington. He moved through Utah, Colorado, and Idaho, leaving victims in every state he visited. By now, Bundy had transformed into a nationwide predator. It wasn't tea until Bundy made a critical mistake in Utah in 1975 that authorities finally caught him. Pulled over for driving erratically, police found suspicious items in his car: handcuffs, a ski mask, and a crowbar. Though these items weren't direct evidence of murder, Bundy was arrested and charged with a kidnapping. It was the first time he'd been officially placed under the microscope, but Bundy's confidence remained unshaken. Despite mounting evidence linking him to multiple disappearances, Bundy refused to acknowledge his crimes, maintaining his charming and composed demeanor. Bundy later escaped custody, not once, but twice. His second escape in December 1977 led him to Florida, where he would commit perhaps his most brutal crimes. On January 15, 1978, Bundy broke into the Chi Omega sorority house at Florida State University. What transpired was pure horror. Bundy killed 2 young women and injured several others in a frenzied attack that shocked the nation. Less than a month later, Bundy murdered 12-year-old Kimberly Leach, a crime so heinous it left even seasoned investigators shaken. Bundy's days, however, were numbered. On February 15, 1978, Bundy was pulled over in Pensacola, Florida, driving a stolen car. This time, his luck had run out. Bundy's trial was as much a spectacle as his crimes were horrifying. He acted as his own attorney, relishing the attention the case brought him. The courtroom was crowded with journalists fascinated by this killer next door. Women, captivated by Bundy's seemingly boyish charm, even flocked to the trial, proclaiming his innocence. It was surreal. How could a man accused of such brutality still inspire admiration? But Bundy couldn't escape the truth. In July 1979, he was convicted for the Chi Omega murders and sentenced to death. A year later, he received another death sentence for the murder of Kimberly Leach. Bundy spent nearly a decade on death row, during which he gave chilling interviews detailing his psychopathy. He finally confessed to at least 30 murders, though experts believe the real number may be much higher. His calm demeanor while recounting these crimes only added to the horror of his actions. On January 24, 1989, Ted Bundy's execution by electric chair brought an end to his reign of terror. The case of Ted Bundy left an indelible mark on society. He was the textbook definition of a wolf in sheep's clothing, a man whose outward charm masked an unfathomable darkness. Bundy's murders prompted changes in how law enforcement handles serial killer cases, including better interstate communication and profiling methods. For all his intelligence, Bundy was no match for the collective efforts of determined investigators. At its core, Bundy's story is a haunting reminder of the depths of human depravity. In listening and learning from stories like his, we not only honor the victims, but also recommit ourselves to vigilance, empathy, and justice. Thank you for joining us on True Crime with Jackson. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you found today's episode compelling. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and remember, evil often hides in plain sight.